There we go. So how do I begin with this one? I turned 23 a few days ago, and this is not the actual topic of the video, but I wanted to bring it up real quick before we get into it. During my birthday stream, I had a conscious thought. I play a lot of Dead by Daylight, something that to most people isn't surprising at all, but I was just wondering if I should branch out into something like, I don't know, creepypasta readings or something, or maybe just start reading some no-sleep content, because I've always liked making stuff along the horror lines of things. Some of my best made things just so happen to be things where it's a horror-related experience. Sort of like my old, Lethal Company videos. Just putting a pin in this, so don't worry about it if this is going to become the main video topic. I just wanted to bring it up here and see how people felt about it. And I also got really caught up in Deadlock again, because unsurprisingly, MOBAs are a drug to me. Moving on from one tangent to another, today is another overview of the new wildcard variation that dropped for Apex this Halloween. Me being an avid Apex player decided to give the mode a go and give some of my thoughts on the mode. But first, of course, we'll always have the overview. For one, we all know wildcard, and we all know wildcard is fun as hell. Some of the most fun Apex can get, even if the game mode makes every single stat and badge imaginable in the OG Battle Royale mode completely irrelevant because you can unlock them in wildcard. That's besides the point, however. Wildcard's Raise Hell variation is an abundance of fun, with some extra stuff on top. Alongside the usual 30-person bloodbath, with Night King's Canyon this time around, this variation of Wildcard takes some of the best aspects from the previous two, and throws them together with some interesting takes on Wildcard pathing themselves. Wildcard this time around are split into groups of two, sort of like a build path. You commit to what you want and how you want to continue with the match itself. The teams themselves are the Reapers and Demons. Reapers are more focused on throwing out DPS and running at extra damage, movement speed, and infinite ammo. Stuff that turns you from the average player playing a multiplayer game into someone who is cheating in a single player game. Makes you feel that bloody powerful. Reapers and their wildcards are heavily focused on fighting, with many of their wildcards further supplementing the ability to fight, especially in things like the 1v1. On a broader spectrum in the team, which let's be honest, I am bullshitting everyone if they actually believe that teams are going to help each other in this mode. So hey, delusional as per usual. From the top, we're going to go from card to card, starting with Monstrous Strength. Monstrous Strength grants an increased outgoing damage buff for anything that you use for the rest of the match. I don't remember percentages on it, but I'd say it's roughly 20%. It's no slouch, so if you do get a chance to pick it up, always go right ahead and do. High Velocity. You want to go fast? Then pick up High Velocity. They can't hit you if you can't be aimed at. Unless you run into a controller player, then it's just raps. At that point, you might as well just pack it up, bro. Go Ammo. The infinite ammo amp, but with none of the drawbacks. The only thing it does not affect is the mythic weapons, and that's for good reason. Mythic weapons themselves hit like a fucking truck, and they are affected by other amps, such as Monstrous Strength. So they don't need to have infinite ammo, because it keeps the mode semi-balanced. Down bad. This is just the Mythic Flatline knock effect. If you've played Wild Iron, then you'll know that without any of the explosive rounds, it turns your teammates into walking IEMs, or it turns your enemies into walking IEMs, making them incredibly dangerous to pick up and or thirst. Status report. A pulse blade on knock. I'm watching a mini-map light up of all the enemies that you're fighting because for some reason we always drop containment or the cage, and when you're in the middle of that fight and you see that mini-map light up with 20 plus enemies, your adrenaline kicks in, your hairs stand on end, and you lock the fuck in. Drain gain. This is just lifesteal. This is straight up just fucking lifesteal. This thing has got some crazy good utility when paired with things like Go-Go Ammo and Monstrous Strength. Turn yourself into a one-person army, or rip and tear until it's done. And finally, we have Smoke Out. Drops a smoke when downed that regen shields for both you and your teammates. Useful in the event if you have a self-res kit or a teammate is close to you, because being able to have your shields ready to go when you are resing yourself, not too bad. So that's all of the Reaper's wildcards. As you can tell, like I said, they are usually supplementing for the fight themselves, with a couple of extra utility pieces on the side. The Demon wildcards are more focused on pure chaos and causing as much trouble as you can. Demon wildcards are much more of the loose cannon style of gameplay that most of us thoroughly enjoyed when the Galactic Games variant was about. The Demon cards go as such. Starting off, we have drone support. It's a free ring scan because ring consoles don't exist, and why would you try and scan a ring as a Watson in this mode? Speedy charge. The power amp booster, but your ultimate is also affected by it this time around, so it's just a little bit of a tertiary thing. Fast draw. You remember when Gold Bag used to give really fast healing? Or when fast healing was a thing in general in the older seasons of Apex? That's what this is. Cells become your diet when you have this equipped, with the added benefit of the boosted loader when reloading. You're essentially on this Gears of War type shit. Crackerjack. It's just weapon reloading on knock, but for every weapon. So something like the R9 or the Peacekeeper, this thing is a godsend, especially for the PK. Because, let's be real, most of us who think we're hitting shots are actually hitting for 9s and going down. So actually knocking someone, getting a reload, and being able to shoot again, we don't have to worry about anything. And the R9, being able to hit constant beams is always a good time now, innit? If you got good aim and the confidence to back it up, you could be a nightmare with this wildcard. Wall Runner. I don't need to say anything. I've glazed this enough times to be considered Krispy Kreme's Employee of the Year. I fucking love wall running, and nothing will ever change me for that. So thank you for existing, Wall Runner. You are the GOAT, you are the godsend, you are quite literally prime LeBron on his moves. Chain Reaction. AoE damage. Think of it like Ricochet from Deadlock, or Runan's Hurricane. You shoot someone, and if another enemy is close by, they also get damage from the bullet. Like, damn, bruh. Apex is out here adding MOBA items to their games and seeing if it works or not. Critical Role. Guaranteed crits on reload. On paper, this already sounds completely ridiculous, and for the record, it is in practice. I don't need to say anything else about this, but this is by far one of the most powerful wildcards in the mode. On top of the usual things, we have the return of the aforementioned Rev Shells, those little heat-sinking gremlin grenades that laugh at you anytime you see it. You have never been swarmed by more than 6 of these things, and if you have, my condolences, because that was a fucking nightmare. The typical jump scares and the aforementioned biggest part of the event, the skins, because let's be honest, we're now at a point where we know why these events are coming out constantly now. Wildcard is the perfect place to preview certain skins, and it's also the perfect place to test features as a sort of sandbox mode for the community to screw around in. Of course, the final big part of selling the skins is the ever-present prestige skin that exists at the end of the tunnel, being dangled on us like a carrot on a stick for those that have terrible impulses and buy things for the hell of it. Like me. This time around, it's the Apex Warrior Maggie skin, coming with a custom finisher and skydive trail like most skins do nowadays, so there's nothing to write home about when it comes to prestige skins. However, one of the nicest things that Apex has done recently, and this is especially good for us that are more free to play and don't really spend that much money on these games, is the fact that EA recently made, or Respawn in this case, recently made some of the Legend event skins actually directly craftable, instead of having to try and gamble on a slot machine to pull whatever you want. I'm not giving them all the credit, as this should have been standard practice years ago, but better late than never in this case. All in all, that's alright. That's alright in terms of the game mode, bog standard, looking like it's coming from the sort of habit that the devs will continue to be on for making stuff like this. I won't complain that much for an overview, and now that I've got the overview sorted, how about I give you how I actually feel on this event? It's the same shit, different day. Seriously, I like the event mode and all, but it's becoming a bit of a pattern to where the developers, or more accurately in this case, because let's be real, the higher-ups are greenlighting and rehashing content and re-releasing it without a second thought. On top of that, it's pretty abundantly clear that the reason for so many events condensed in the past few weeks is the fact that this game still has a massive casual audience for them to gain a fuck ton of money out of. Apex will always have the whales that spend a fraction of their salary to get the latest stuff and the coolest stuff. That's just how it is with live service games, and that's never going to change. It's just a shame that it feels like a very thin veil of gameplay to mask over the actual motive behind the event, which is to get players to open up their wallets more and spend more money. On top of the already pretty egregious drop rates, pricing, and like I said before, dangling a carrot on the stick with the crafting materials being able to be used, it sort of comes off as this, oh, you could do it, buddy, just keep grinding and you'll eventually get there. Pair that with a classic live service manipulation with fear of missing out, FOMO, whatever you want to fucking call it. The RNG chances behind loot boxes being incredibly abysmal, and the animations themselves being incredibly stimulating, because 90% of opening up a loot box is the anticipation. And for those that are more impulsively inclined to spend stuff, it gives them a chance to get their big mythic, the jackpot hit. It's classic casino tactics. It's a hook, line, and sinker strategy. For someone like me with over 2k hours in this game, it's not really an issue. I'm also a grown adult. I've already got a lot of what I want from the events, and I play the game enough to justify buying battle passes that I usually end up finishing them all. I am well within the sunk cost fallacy of Apex Legends, and I'll admit that, so it's nothing new to me. However, for those that don't play the game as much, for those that are more casual, for those that are more socially inclined or socially pressured by, let's say, outside forces to own the latest stuff as a sort of symbol of wealth, people will spend their money on this, and people will further incentivize the profit-driven businesses that game publishers ultimately are. If they want an improvement on their bottom line, they will get an improvement in any way they deem necessary, and that does include cutting out half of their staff and buying more cars. Fuck you, Pete Parsons, you're a fucking coward. The mode itself is actually a good mix between the first two variations of Wildcard, with the Halloween theming sprinkled in, because Apex does Halloween theming quite well, with none of the over-the-top stuff from the Galactic games like the Baseball Bat and Wild Iron with its mythic flatline, but it has its own over-the-top stuff sprinkled in with its various mythic weapons. Wildcard itself will always be a fun mode, a fun, casual mode. It's a good, casual mode tainted by the business decisions of game publishers driven by bottom lines and shareholders. Because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that these people, these higher-ups at these companies only really give a shit about. And with EA going private, I'd hope to see some improvement down the line for more people that prefer to, make good games. But I won't hold my breath for a company such as EA that has proven time and time again that as long as their big free cash cows are making money, they don't give a fuck. Anyway, that will be it from me in terms of Apex overview / rant / whatever the fuck this thing is anymore, probably a review. I'm going back to Deadlock. So that'll be it from me. Links in the description as per usual. Like, comment, subscribe, share, check out the Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, Discord, all that good stuff if you want to keep up to date with me and whatever it is I am doing. Next video will probably be Dead by Daylight, however, so keep that in mind because I actually do like the event in that game and I want to make a video on it. It's been Azura and I'll leave you all with this. I'm an addict for wall running. Toodles!